I've always liked cars. Even at school, I dreamed of growing up and buying myself a car. However, probably all men dream about it, and many women too. Of course, when I grew up, I realized my dream. I bought myself an old and inexpensive but quite usable car. Of course, I wanted more. But as an adult, I began to realize that a cool car is not the most important thing in life. I had money, but it always went as something else. At first, I saved up for an apartment. Then he got married, had a daughter, and even more necessary expenses. I serviced the car well, but I didn't drive very often. So it didn't have any serious breakdowns. I've been driving it all these years. My wife sometimes said that our car was not very good, but when I suggested postponing another purchase like a new TV or a fur coat, it immediately turned out that the car was quite normal and you could still drive it. Then disagreements with my wife began to escalate, and eventually we divorced. Now it seems like I could put everything aside and change the car. Of course, I really wanted that. But I thought it was more important to invest money in something that would be profitable. So a few more years passed, and just recently the moment has come. I owned a studio apartment that I rented out, a small 2-story commercial building, which was also leased to several shops, some more stocks on the stock market, and a metal bank account as a last resort. And of course, my work with the free schedule also brought income. Now, buying a car shouldn't have significantly affected my budget. After selling my old car for a cheap price, I bought a new Hyundai Solaris. Of course, there was no limit to my joy. I've been wanting a new car for so long, and now I finally bought it. The pleasure of driving a new, foreign car with an automatic transmission could not be compared with the sensations of driving an old car. The new car was comfortable, and easy to drive. My daughter Jessica was happy about the purchase with me. She recently graduated from a driving school and got a driver's license. Now, my daughter had no doubt that I would sometimes give her a ride in a new car. And of course, she was right. I didn't deny her much at all. After all, my beloved and only daughter. Even when she was little, I didn't really scold her for her pranks, but Mom was much more strict. She could spank sometimes, not to mention scolding. Swearing is generally an ex-wife who loves it very much. Maybe that's why my daughter spent a lot of time with me, even after the divorce. My wife tried to forbid her, but my daughter ran away to me anyway. When my wife and I divorced, my daughter was still in the 7th grade. It's been a long time since then. Jessica graduated from high school and went to college. At the time when all this happened, she was already in her 2nd year. She spent most of her time in the dorm or at my place, and she rarely appeared at her mother's. She said she didn't like constant moralizing. I helped her study at a driving school. We studied the rules of the road together. I explained some difficult points. In an old car, he sometimes let her try to drive somewhere on empty country roads. That's why I knew Jessica drove her car carefully. When applying for insurance, I immediately entered my daughter into the list of those allowed to manage. However, Jessica didn't ask me for a car very often. She walked from the dorm to the institute, to other places shopping, visiting friends, also on foot or by public transport. This usually turned out to be faster than first going to the garage to get the car, then driving it where it was planned, and then also returning the car back. In 2 months, she drove the Solaris only 3 or 4 times. Then her winter session started, and the trip stopped altogether for a long time. The next day, after the successful completion of the session, a delighted Jessica came running to me. "Dad, can I take the car? The girls and I want to go to the Maximum to celebrate the session. We'll sit in a cafe there, go shopping. We will buy gifts for the new year." Maximum is a large shopping and entertainment center located on the outskirts of the city. It is inconvenient to get there by public transport. I didn't think twice. Of course, take it. Just be careful. The road is bad now. It's freezing and snowing. There seems to be no ice, but in the cold, the snow rolls down heavily, and the road becomes very slippery. And drivers don't think about it and drive fast. So slowly take your time. Don't overtake anyone. You will definitely not be late for your Maximum. It works until night. Okay, Dad, I'm being careful. We'll make sure everyone buckles up there. Well, and call me when you get there. Oh yeah, definitely. Jessica took the keys and flew away. I thought she didn't seem to have listened very carefully to my advice. There's nothing to be done. Children often consider their parents' worries to be nonsense. However, the brakes on the car are good, the wheels with spikes are new, and my daughter doesn't seem to be inclined to drive fast, so everything will probably be fine. Having thought so, I went about my business. After a while, I felt a little anxious. It's been more than 2 hours and still no call. Of course, there may be traffic jams on the roads, but it was too much to get there in 2 hours. Thinking that Jessica had simply forgotten to call, I dialed her number myself, but the phone was unavailable. That's when anxiety got the best of me. The best thing would have been to call her friends, but I didn't have their numbers. At first, I didn't know what to do at all and just walked from corner to corner. Then I found the police reference number on the internet and called there. They replied that the roads are rubbish, but there are a lot of people driving, and now there are continuous accidents all around. Everyone crashes in a row. They don't seem to have a red Solaris with the specified number in their reports. But who knows? Inspectors are working tirelessly with wands. Maybe they haven't had time to transmit information about some kind of accident yet. Comfort it, you can't say anything. I was about to take a taxi and go check the route when my phone rang. The number was unfamiliar, but when I picked up the phone, I heard Jessica's frightened voice. "Dad, I crashed the car. At least she's alive, and that's fine." I bombarded her with questions. "How are you? Are there any injuries? Did you call an ambulance? Did the doctors examine you?" "I'm fine, the doctors were watching. But here's the car." "Fuck her. The car. We'll figure it out later." "Where are you now?" "In the hospital, in the regional traumatology. They took us there just in case. But I'm fine. Don't worry. Wait for me there. I'm going to take a taxi and pick you up." Sad Jessica was sitting alone on a bench in the hospital's emergency room. She seemed to look normal, not pale. Bruises are nowhere to be seen. She told me that the doctors had examined her. No serious injuries were found. Only minor bruises. The car was taken to the emergency parking lot on a tow truck. My friends are fine too. They have already gone home. Then Jessica and I drove home. I bought ice cream at the store next to the house. I gave it to my daughter at home. "Here, take this. As far as I remember, you used to really like this kind of ice cream. You're so upset." However, this had the opposite effect. Jessica began to cry. Between sobs, she told me, "Dad, I know how much you wanted to buy yourself a new car. How long have you been saving up for it? And I broke it, and you didn't even have time to travel." I started stroking her hair and comforting her. "The car is nothing. We'll buy a new one." "Even better. The main thing is that you're okay." Gradually, Jessica stopped crying and told me the details. At first, everything went well with them. She drove slowly and carefully, but after entering the bypass road, it became freer and other cars drove faster. One of my friends said that they were crawling too slowly for a new car. After a while, she continued, saying that Jessica was plodding like a turtle, then something else like that. Jessica involuntarily accelerated and then decided to overtake someone. Ahead, the road ran along a small embankment. The slopes were low but quite steep. After completing the overtaking, Jessica changed lanes too fast. The car went into a rhythmic skid. She couldn't straighten the car and flew into oncoming traffic. Escaping from the collision, she flew off the embankment. We tumbled for a long time, but then the car got back on its wheels. Due to the fact that everyone was strapped in and that there were large snowdrifts under the embankment, no one was seriously injured. Her phone tumbled with the car and broke apart. The drivers of other cars who came running helped them get out, called the police and doctors. The doctors examined everyone. The police drew up protocols. The hurried girlfriend refused to visit the hospital and quietly left. The second comforted as best she could. Jessica did not refuse, and she and her second friend were taken to the hospital by doctors. Neither of them was found to have serious injuries. My daughter's phone crashed. At a friend's place, he got lost and was never found. Some guy doctor helped them by giving them his phone to call. My friend went home after the call, and my daughter stayed in the hospital to wait for me. That's all. Actually, I thought it was a sad story, but there was nothing unusual about it. Many drivers who overestimated their strength have had something like this happen. Dad, you're so cool. I thought you were going to blame me. After all, the accident happened precisely because of what you told me not to do, And you didn't even say a word. You are the best. Why reproach you? And so sad. Besides, there is a good point in this. Which one? Do you have gained invaluable experience? You'll drive much more carefully now, and you won't listen to stupid girlfriends. It costs more than a car, so don't be so upset. My daughter thought a little and said, when I finish my studies, I'll get a job. I'll work hard, earn a lot, and buy you the coolest car. I'll take you at your word. I smiled. She smiled too. We sat in silence for a while, hugging each other. I thought she seemed to be calming down. Leaving my daughter sitting on the couch, I went to cook dinner. When I started cooking, I thought that my relationship with my ex-wife was not the best. I didn't really want to get to know anyone else, and I didn't have time because of work. And Jessica is very beautiful. Petite, slender blonde with long hair, slim waist. I wonder if she has a regular boyfriend who she makes love to. She didn't tell me about it. Stop. What am I thinking about? She's my daughter. We have to stop. I concentrated on cooking. After dinner, we sat at our computers. I was sorting through my email. Jessica corresponded with her friends on social media. I don't remember how much time passed after that. Then she asked me to sit with her again, and we were hugging on the couch again. Jessica spoke softly. We've been chatting with Amanda on social media right now. She asked for forgiveness. Is this the friend who was in a hurry? Yes. She also said that her father swore for an hour when her phone was stolen. He said she was bad and it was her own fault. She says her father would probably kill her if she crashed his car. And you're so kind. Oh, Dad, I really want to give you something dear and beautiful so that you know how much I love you. But I don't have anything like that. If you weren't my dad, but just a man, then I would know how to show my love. I love you very much too, I replied. Okay, let's go to sleep. It's been a long time. Jessica went to her room and I was lying in bed, tossing and turning, and couldn't sleep. My daughter's words about what would happen if I were not a father, but an outsider, man, did not go out of my head. Is she hinting at me? Or do I just see everything through the prism of my desires? I wondered if Jessica was already asleep. Maybe she, overexcited after the theater accident, can't sleep. Just like me, I decided to go and see if my daughter was sleeping. A lantern was burning in Jessica's room. She was lying on her side on the bed facing the wall. When she heard me, she turned around and asked, Dad, why aren't you sleeping? She was smiling. I had a strange thought. Perhaps my daughter was not at all surprised that I was awake or that I came to her. It was like she was waiting for me. Yes, I can't sleep for something. Then lie down next to me. Let's lie down together. I feel good and calm with you. Were my assumptions correct? It can't be. Jessica asked, Dad, why can't you sleep? Yes, I decided to look in to see if everything is fine with you. You always take such good care of me. I decided to ask. When you said that if I wasn't your dad, you would have a way to express your love to me, what did you mean? It is clear that I would have given myself to you, of course. Do you like me, Dad? Am I beautiful? What kind of father will answer his daughter no to such questions, even if she is not beautiful? And Jessica is as beautiful as a model. You are very beautiful, and I really like you, and not only for me, but you are the most important man in my life. I wouldn't be here without you. Jessica turned her head to me and said, And you would like to with me? After these words, we made love. In the morning when I woke up, my daughter was no longer there. She was clinking dishes in the kitchen. There was a pleasant smell of something delicious all over the apartment. I quickly washed, dressed, and went to the table. There were hot cheesecakes on the table in a large plate. There was a mug of milk next to it. Jessica was sitting on a stool, looking at me and smiling. I've finally woken up. Good morning. Good morning. Wow, I fried some cheesecakes. When did you just get there? I got up early and made it. I know you love them, so I wanted to please you. Sit down and eat. Thank you. I sat down at the table and started eating cheesecakes. As always, they are wonderful. My daughter knows how to cook them the way I like. Jessica was sitting next to me and looking at me. When I finished eating, I asked her, Have you eaten by yourself yet? Yeah, you seem to look that more cheerful than yesterday. Is the depression gone? Of course it passed, Dad. You gave me such a powerful antidepressant yesterday. Yes, 2 more times. It was so cool. How about you? Was it good? Good is not the right word. It was just a fairy tale. The memories instantly awakened my desire, and we repeated it again. A couple of months have passed since then. I sold the car to dealers the very next day. I bought an inexpensive car for myself for the first time. Well, with my daughter, we live like husband and wife on their honeymoon. At one time, my conscience began to gnaw at me. How is it? My daughter needs to date guys, family, children, and all that. But when I told Jessica about it, she said, smiling, that the family and children would wait at least until graduation. That there are a lot of guys who want to date her. But for now, she wants to be alone with her dad, and my worry stopped.